Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, fun, insightful today. And this is all the things you ever wanted to ask a medium. And I know we have a lot of questions about what they do, how they do what they do, difference between a psychic and a medium. By the way, instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. If you want to connect with us, we're going to connect with him who actually connects with the other side. Tim Medium is with us once again. Hi, Tim. How are you?
Great. How are you, Steve?
I'm well. I know you said it once before, but I want to start right there. The difference between a psychic and a medium. What is it?
First off, Steve, the vibration. Well, I won't start with the vibration. It'll be more the information. I'm going to look at more the information that you're receiving. Now, most of the time, a psychic vibration, you'll be able to pick up that somebody's in the spirit world, but it's now when you're going into the mediumistic portion of it, it's good there. Once you connect to that certain someone, the information they send you is now going to have a big difference of what you're receiving after the fact. You're going to go into specifics in regards to what happened in their passing or how they passed. And then you're going to go into things that the spirit will want to talk about. And that'll be you connecting mediumistically as opposed to psychically.
So would you say that there are some crossover between being a medium and a psychic?
Absolutely. Yes, for sure. There's psychic vibration. You should be able to pick up if somebody's in the spirit world. That'll be something any psychic should pick up. Now, the communication portion of it is going to be somewhat different because of psychic vibration. You won't be able to pick up the communication because it's at a different vibration. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not trying to knock a psychic. That's not what this is about. That's certainly not. I'm not trying to do that or hurt anybody's feelings, but I just want to clarify the difference between the two vibrations because one is a little different than the other. Now, I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying the information you receive from the spirit world dictates your vibration.
When you say the information you receive, how do you mean?
So if I'm reading you mediumistically or I'm going to connect with say your mother. Now your mother's going to tell me certain things that only your mother would know. Now, and I just follow her and I let her tell me things that she wants to talk about to where you would understand things such as those things. Now, psychically, they might be able to pick up your mother, but they won't be able to communicate with your mother. They'll go on to other things such as it could be anything, right? So
wow.
It's quite a big difference. It's a little bit of a difference.
But now you made it clear. It's almost as if it's one-way communication when it's a psychic. It almost kind of seems that way where the spirit is connecting or communicating with the psychic, but they can't really converse the same way a medium can.
Absolutely. They won't be able to connect with what the spirit actually wants to relay the information that the spirit wants to relay to the client or the person I'm working with. Absolutely. That's exactly what it would be. Yeah.
Wow.
Psychic vibration psychic vibration, you'll be able to tell, but relaying the information is a whole nother ball of wax.
Well, you read my mom, and this was last week, the week before, and very specific things came through. Nobody else would know. And I'm thinking, nobody, there was very specific things, and some of them were from way back. How did you prompt her to say more or provide more? Were you actually vibing her in a communication type way?
What I would do, what I'm trained to do is I go to that dimension. It's actually how I would describe it as another dimension, and I connect with your mother. Now I see your mother, or it's always been my strength to see, but I see who's here, and then I just let them talk. I let them do the talking, and I just pay close attention to what they're saying. Now I don't force or anything like that. I just stay aware, and with that that allows me to relay the information that, say, in your case, mom's trying to relay to you that she is here and she does want to have communication with you. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Um, how would that reading have differed or varied if it was being done by a psychic and not a medium?
Uh, she'll be able to, a psychic, she, a psychic will be able to understand that there is somebody in the spirit world for you. Now, they'll say your mother's here, but they won't get any more information from your mother as opposed to they might get one thing maybe, or and then they'll say things such as, and she's passing along messages to you. Uh, but there's no messages being passed along from your mother to you. And if you're working mediumistically, there will be messages from your mother and everything in regards to, say, her nose or things like that, what she wanted to talk about. There'll be very specific things that'll come through for you because it's just a different vibration. The clarity is much more. Yeah.
And I've worked with psychics, mediums before. Um, the clarity that you had in a very short period of time, once you got going, it was like rapid fire. Here's another one. And again, these weren't just generalities. This was extremely specific and
Yeah.
specific to things from the past, but also to literally right now. And even one, semi-personal thing, it has meaning to me. Nobody else would know what it means, but I know, my mom was pointing something out that I guess she was aware of, and I don't know where she was going with that, but she was aware of it.
That's just to touch upon that a little bit. That was a short little session of maybe 5 7 minutes, 5 minutes that we dove into. Now,
Yes.
typically when I have a sitting, they'll usually last from half hour to 45, and the information becomes a lot more deeper. I don't leave certain things that she would have told me why she was pointing at her nose, or she would have told me about the wagon wheel, and she would have told me more about those specific things. I would have dove into those things and allowed
Okay.
her to show me why she was showing me those things. But I knew we were on time, and that matters. So, but very, very specific things she'll talk about. And where she goes inside that reading brings us to a whole nother level to where she wants to, what she wants to talk about with you. And everybody has, and I know in I've schooled in many places now. They all focus on the one message at the end of the reading, but sometimes that isn't always the case because quite often that message is totally made up by the medium. I make my students fully aware that the message is all of it. Everything is the message. And certainly, yes, there could be a big message at the end with what she's sending, but it can't be, again, made up by the medium to where it suits the situation and has to come from mom,
And
or in this case, mom.
there's many times also, where you hear a psychic or a medium say, she's aware of your situation, or he is aware. They're sending lots of love. All these generalities, you don't deal in those, and I think that's what makes you different as a evidential medium,
That is the difference right there. The sending of the love, well, there has to be evidence that mom is sending the love,
right?
because, and without that evidence, anybody can say what they will, to suit you person. But and she will, and they will. That's the thing. They will send these messages. They'll be very specific. Now, if you wait around long enough for that specific message, she'll go deeper and deeper and deeper with that one message.
Yeah. And the last thing that you had said, again, we were short on time, was the word salad. And right away, I know what it means, and it's very impactful. And I know my mom would bring it up for a reason. And I think her reason was, you know, I, I can't put it into context. Not that it's super personal, but it's important. And it's just she wants me to be aware, like, good stuff. Doing well there. It means a lot. It wasn't just a random word. It had deep meaning
You,
and very relevant meaning. Like the other things you brought up were from the past, and that was all good. That was like complete validation. But yeah, super specific. And
yeah.
I even talked to my sister about the wagon wheel thing. And the wagon wheel was the name of a restaurant, has since changed names probably 3 or 4 times in the 40 years or whatever. We used to go there as kids, and my sister knew right away. She goes, "Oh my gosh, yeah, the wagon wheel, right." And I could even tell you in my mind where I was sitting the last time I remember being there. Crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Now also lots of mediums will have issues bringing in certain spirits from time to time simply
Sure.
because they're the development, or it's not even the development, it's their feeling good of the situation that maybe the spirit has passed and how the spirit has passed. That's also another thing that they play into quite a bit that most mediums aren't aware of, simply for the fact that we're getting grandma and grandma's happy and all the information grandma wants to share. But when you go into a whole different scenario, say a friend or a brother or a sister that passed in maybe not such a savory way, that's out of the comfort zone of the medium. And sometimes those things, as a medium, are hard to bring in. So we have a hard time bringing in certain spirits because of that.
Why do some spirits come through and then others don't? And why, let's say somebody's expecting to hear from their grandmother, but grandma's not coming through, but somebody else did. Why does that happen?
Um, that is every spirit is here. If you're getting grandma, you can get sister, you can get brother, you can get mom, you can get dad, you can get anyone. It's up to the medium to dial in, and it solely relies on the medium's shoulders for whether it's the comfort zone of sticking with what they're comfortable with, say the spirit, say grandma per se, and not going into the brother who was murdered, uh, or passed in a car crash, or in a not so savory way where there's blood in the guts, because those things have that's not in everybody's comfort zone when you're dealing with passing. And if I'm a medium, my comfort zone in regards to what I want to pass along.
Is that do some have a filter? Some mediums, are they, or psychics, are they filtering out that kind of stuff within themselves that they don't want to go there if it's something that's a little gory or uncomfortable?
It is, because fear plays the biggest factor in mediumship. The first thing you have to release is fear of anything. You can't pick and choose who comes to your home or what time they come to your home, or what or which spirit comes through for the sitter. You just can't do it. You have, and that plays fear is a big issue with that. Getting into this line of work is something where fear has to be left behind, and you learn that quite quickly. That if I'm picking and choosing, it's not going to be. I'm not going to have a huge success in what I do, because uh, some people will want to hear from their brother that passed from a murder or a car crash or whatever, and that's why they've come to you.
When you say fear, part of that, the picture I get is if somebody has a fear of not being able to, a medium, not being able to deliver the information in terms of confidence, I guess. I guess it would play a big role in somebody's performance.
It's not so much in confidence. Well, it could be confidence level. Yeah, that confidence level is something earlier on in your development. This is something a little bit different. Now, fear isn't the fear of walking outside of a nightclub or something and having six guys jump on you. That's not the fear I'm talking about. The fear of 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 what you're seeing as a medium. Let's say a suicide of a 17-year-old boy. And there's brains all over the place. I know it's not really right to say, but lots of mediums don't like to go to those places because of the gore and the blood and the guts and the feelings of the family when they because they're sitting across from you. It's a different type of fear. There's different types of fear that affect the medium, and
Hmm.
it takes a lot of work to get to that place.
So that's an interesting point. So that type of fear, somebody trying to explain this because we're going down a deeper road here, a little more
Yeah,
narrow one. But let's say it's that situation. It's a suicide, not a pretty picture in the psychic or medium's mind. Would they just not want to go there? And then they
exactly.
kind of kind of put up their borders around it and just it that information is not delivered because they just don't want to handle it.
Exactly. That's exactly. And then they won't be able to pick up the spirit. They'll block the spirit, and then they'll go to their comfort zone, which is grandmother or
Okay.
mom or dad or somebody who passes of maybe something a little easier like cancer or something. And cancer is not easier. Of course, nothing's easy, but the point is, right?
Is it a conscious effort? Are they actually seeing that image and they're like, I'm not going to do that one. So I'm going to, so grandma's over here and she just has flowers for you. Is it processed
Absolutely.
like that? Okay. And the reason I ask that is I'm trying to determine if it's a situation where the reader is already put these blocks up and that stuff just doesn't even come in. Or
Yes.
are they seeing it and it's just like, I'm not doing that. I got it here. I'm seeing the visual. I'm not delivering that kind of information. Just not going to do it.
Well,
Is it
if
both?
you go to yeah, it's a little bit of both, but I would go to the first one because it's not in the comfort zone of the medium, and
Okay.
the medium, and so the spirit world knows what you're going to be able to handle and what you typically can handle, and so they'll only send stuff such as what you can handle. Because if you're going into a place where man, I just can't do murders. I can't do that. There's no point in the medium, the spirit world won't send you that. They just won't. They know so much over there. They know everything that I you're involved with. It's like my class. I always tell my students, listen, you got to thank the spirit world that's come in for the class because they took time out to come and work with us because they know we're working here. And
Mm,
so they know, they always know how deep you are, how far, how developed what you can handle, what you can't handle. They're not going to throw. It's like in real life. If I'm walking into a chemistry lab, I'm not going to do so well. I'm just going to walk right back out, right? Because it's not something I'm going to be able to handle. I just
sure.
won't handle. I don't know science. It's not me, right? But this mediumistic work. Now that's a whole nother story, right? So or
Wow.
math or whatever, however you want to place it.
Can somebody say to you, I want you, can you connect with my, like if I said, can you connect with my dad? Is that something that typically can be done? Or there are times where dad's just not coming through?
No, you should be able to connect with every spirit that's in the spirit world. If I
Well,
could connect with mom, grandma, grandpa, sister, I should be able to connect with dad. Dad'll be there too. That's it's on the medium, and it goes back to the comfort zone now. It just depends on how they passed or your personality. But you should be able to connect with any spirit that's over there. Everybody
mm.
else is coming through, so should they.
And I wondered, like in the example of my mom, I get signs from her all the time. I ask for them, I get them. They're specific, very. So I feel that she's sending vibes, info. My dad, no, I don't. I actually don't ask a lot for any kind of signs. I've never gotten one. I've never had, I don't think anybody's ever connected with him. I'm trying to think back over the years. Um, and I bring that up. I wonder if it depends on the spirit. if some are more vocal than others in the spirit world.
That happens in the reading that grandma who was more vocal or mom was more vocal will come through. They'll both come through, say mom and dad, but mom will take over the reading because that's how she was in the real world.
Okay.
And she'll continue to do the same things, and dad will be a lot more quieter, and he'll pick his spots in communicating or talking with you. That's what he did in the real world. Lots of times those are synchronicities that stand out inside the reading. And their personality is as important as anything else that comes through in the reading, because that's how they are. That's the personality of say your mom or your dad, and your dad being the quiet one. That means as much as anything else, because that's what he's trying to show us.
So they keep their personality remains the same as it was here and also in the spirit world.
Yeah, and it'll go from say they're 20 years old to 50 years old, and they'll show themselves at 20, and of course hanging out and like in fast cars and dressing like James Dean. They'll show all that stuff because that's what they used to do when they're
Wow.
20. And they'll show their age too, and then they'll progress through the reading inside the reading, and but that's what they want to talk about. So you just have to, you're basically along for the ride as a medium, but uh, and that's why a medium won't typically understand a lot of stuff, but the sitter, the client will, right?
So when you're doing the reading, it's almost like the mom show or the dad show. It's there. It's their
It
time.
it is. It is. And they
Wow.
want to talk, but they also want to relay messages to you at the same time. Something might not have been finished, or there might be something that they didn't get to say. Now is their time to say it, because that's what they're doing here, and that's why they came through. Yeah.
For sure. And I had something recently happen. My dad's been gone for a while. Something that happened recently, pretty big that he's connected to. So I'm piecing it all together. But it's and I don't even know if mom would have answers to that one. My parents got divorced when I was very young. So uh, interesting how you'd wonder how the dynamics are between the two. That being said, since they grew apart from almost the beginning. It's fascinating though. This is and we answered a lot of questions here today that for me, the difference between a psychic and a medium, the way you explained it, now I got it. And we've talked a little bit about it before, but now it's clear. Now we've got it clear. The difference, that a medium can truly communicate, where a psychic is kind of just passing messages on. That's it. It's not a fluid two-way communication with the spirit. That's what I'm getting.
Absolutely correct. That's exactly it right there in a nutshell. They're
Wow.
very, yeah,
Final question here, Tim, do people say they are a psychic medium?
they do.
How would that make sense though? I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? Or is it
um,
because people know the word psychic, and so they attach that word to medium because it just sounds good, right?
Lots of people do that for the sake of what other people do. Yes, that is something that they'll put up because because they can say connect to mom for a second or two. They'll say they're a medium, and in turn they won't know what a medium is. They won't be giving mediumistic work or readings or
Right.
sessions, but they'll label themselves as that. I mean, it's not. I mean, generally, I don't. It is what it is. Everybody does what they do. That's why tutors are most important to this work, because they not only guide you in the direction you need to go to, they give you the information of the understanding. It's not just dialing to the spirit world, it's everything else that they'll pass along. And it is school. Like, it is school. You need to learn not only connecting, but if somebody has a web page, I can go to their web page, and just by their web page, I understand exactly how much they know about what
Hmm.
they're talking about, just
Wow.
by what's on them.
Well, what makes you different is you refer to yourself as an evidential medium. Evidential meaning evidence. You provide that, and I experience it. You can't deny it. I always say the facts are the facts. You can't deny the facts, and you provide factual stuff. from the other side, and it gets validated. Your website is your name, right? Timmedium.com.
Timmedium.com. Yes.
Yeah. And along with doing readings and connecting to the other side, you talked about tutor. You teach people how to do this. Everybody has the ability, as we've talked before. It's honing in on that, dialing in, as you say, and making that connection. So anybody looking to learn how to do this, perfect it, or even just get a reading, and some comfort and some closure. Timmedium.com is the website. Tim, thank you so much for today. Learned a lot. Really did. I've been talking to psychics and mediums for years. Never really knew the difference between the two, like you explained it. So thank you.
Thanks, Steve. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Appreciate you. And we'll talk soon.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.